favorite song on this album, y'all. It's no secret in our world. People like to talk the things they know and the ones they don't. They will spread lies and rumors just to be known. So why are you wasting your time like this? Hearing those things that break your heart. Give no attention, give no thoughts. Cause people talk, but they'll never help you walk. So whenever they speak, look up and you will see a broken pencil and a sheet. And tell them, say, I'm writing names of properties. Yeah.
Our love is going to making on me. Teacher will get you when he comes. I have a race.
No time to waste.
No time to waste.
I'm writing names of talkers.
Well, writing names of talkers.
3, 4.
It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Teacher,
with the time now, exacting 4 minutes past the top of the hour. That's 4 minutes past 11.
I have a race.
You know, it is my singular honor once again to welcome my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. We didn't have him yesterday because he was monitoring events so that he could bring all that our way. But this morning, by the grace of God, he's doing very, very well. And he's here once again. And let me say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, a very beautiful morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank, and good morning to all our co-presenters around the world. And most importantly, our beautiful listeners that have joined us Monday to Friday, and I can tell you it is a complete pact on the Sisters broadcast because they know Archie brings the good news all the time with myself.
Yes, that's what we do. That is our mandate. We want to serve you breakfast and lunch and everything that you need to know. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial at all. How are you? How are you? How are you?
Well, it's been a very busy one, but I'm doing very well. That's the most important thing. And the family is great as well. We're grateful, and as well, we're grateful to the Creator. I know there's a lot happening around the world, but the question is, when we are still alive, we can change, a lot of things. We can be very positive. We can bring positivity to the people that are out there, especially many people around the world are going through so much, from depression, to suicide, to so many things. But one thing is, when you're with us on the Starr Radio UK, we can brighten the day, in as much as the day sometimes can be very difficult.
Of course. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing this morning. Before we come to the picture behind you, that is about Bamishe and the other mobiles murder and stuff like that. We'll be coming to that. But today happens to be, is it today that is Chief Sunday Igboho's birthday?
Well, you got it right. The 10th of October is a unique day, just as is also a unique day when you look at the Independence Day, which was just about 9 days ago. So yes, you're quite right. Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho birthday today, and as we say, birthday in a very, very fantastic way to deliver to so many people. I mean, that could have been the best gift, but we're going to come back to that in just about a few minutes. But let me come back again to you in the studio. But you're quite right. Chief Dr. Sunday Igboho's birthday is today's date.
Okay, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. So let's go straight to Bamishe's issue. Now, we have the CDHR that is taking Laha, that's the Lagos State House of Assembly. What are they doing there? Is it a demonstration? What are they going to be doing there? And yeah, give us a bit of.
Well, let's go back to these beautiful Nigerians that got caught up in what we called may Nigeria not happen to us. Oluwa Bamishe was a young Nigerian that was doing exactly what Nigeria expected him to do. Once again, this is Starr Radio UK, the 10th of October 2023 at 8 minutes past 11, as we continue to update on the latest on the death of Oluwa Bamishe Anyanwola. The CDHR means the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. They've now decided that it seems that Bamishe's death must be taken straight to the Lagos State House of Assembly. And what are they going to do? They need to tax over Bamishe's mother the death, and likewise the death of Mohbad. I remember that after the death of Bamishe, the young man, to the right, to the left-hand side, is the driver that was driving the bus that Bamishe traveled on. This is not a private vehicle. This is the Lagos State Transportation known as the BRT. Bamishe was the only passenger. The light was turned off. She saw the death, but for whatever reason, she decided to continue, because the video clip she sent out said the bus is traveling. I am the only one inside, and it seems that something is just not right. Maybe she could have cried out a little bit, but the rest was the dead body of Bamishe was dumped, on the major highway. Open up. We can't go into too much of the details, but the Lagos House of Assembly is now being tasked over the brutal murder of Bamishe Anyanwola inside a BRT bus and the death of pop singer Ireoluwa Oladimeji Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad. This was a press release that was signed by the Lagos State Chairman of the CDHR, Comrade Kehinde Adeoye.
Wow. Listeners, Starr Radio UK. Now, so they know the driver who was
yes, the driver was apprehended. The Lagos State tried to not take the responsibility of the driver, but again, this is a vehicle that belongs to the Lagos State. Even though we know that sometimes this could have been given to a private organization, the death, there was less sympathy. We got to be honest. After the death, eventually with much pressure, the new social media, the governor decided to intervene, just like it took the governor of Lagos State, to get the grasp of what took place after the death of Mohbad. I mean, the death of Mohbad shouldn't have occurred if this was a very, in a wayward. We know that incidents do go wrong, but imagine, for the benefit of our listeners, we've seen the death of our young sister that died in Croydon area after she was stabbed on the London transport. I mean, again, those kind of, messages will go around the world. This is on the London transport. How can the London transport be safeguarded? We have the CCTV in there, just as we'll have expected the same thing to happen on the BRT. But this is coming from Comrade Adeomi Adesina, the State Publicity Secretary, Comrade Chika Mary. This was dated on the 6th of October 2023. The Noble Human Rights Organization, while commiserating with the family of Ireoluwa Oladimeji Aloba on the demise of their son, and also urging the investigating authority to unearth the circumstances surrounding the ultimate death of the pop singer, while the Lagos State House of Assembly was quick to lend its voice to the call of the cause of the death of Mohbad to be unraveled, while ignoring the call to unravel the circumstances surrounding the gruesome murder of a 22-year-old Miss Oluwa Bamishe Abigail Anyanwola inside a Lagos State government facility, the bus BRT, known as the bus rapid transit, being operated by the Lagos Bus Services. They've actually kept mute over the brutal murder in Lagos State.
But has the police given any update to what is happening? As to whether, even at times they'll tell you that there's investigation that is going on. Has the police said anything?
We've been sending our reporter, to the court, and each time there's always again, lapses from the prosecutor, lapses from. It seems that they are trying to not bring this case to justice. We know that Miss Bolanle, remember, she was killed by Happy Trigger police officer on the Christmas day. She was pregnant with twins. Judgment has actually served. That police officer will be hanged to death. But the question is, could it be because that incident of December 25th is got to do with the elite that died? She's a lawyer, as against Bamiche. She's just a fashion designer. Who knows her? But we know her, and that is why Star Radio UK will continue to highlight and expect the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to look into why the court, each time the court appearance, it seems that there's delay for justice.
Wow. Listeners, as we are saying, let's continue to vamp up. Yes, this because we have to stand for those who don't have any help, those who are ordinary people who don't have any support. Because if she was an elite or coming from a family of the elites or rich, very rich people, by this time they would have seen justice. But because she's coming from just an ordinary Nigerian who has not got any financial backing behind her, see where she's being from. But we will continue to make a lot of noise about this. Listen to Star Radio UK. Now we'll be ending the whole update on a higher note, so we'll not touch Dr. Sunday Igboho's what Benin and all that thing yet. We'll bring that one at the final point of it. So listeners, just bear with that. Let's look at some of the other stories and then we'll go on from there. Nigeria will become net exporter of petroleum products in 2024. That's what the NNPC is saying. How are they going to be doing that? Even when it came to what do you call him? The private owned refinery that has been said. What's the name for that? Dangote refinery. Now we were talking about the fact that they said even he had to import crude oil for his refinery to function, and that means that we are selling everything. And so for them to say that Nigeria is going to be a net exporter of crude petroleum products, what are they talking about there?
Well, NNPC, even though it's now known as the NNPC, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Last week, if you remember, we talked about, shady unravel of a pipeline given out to some individuals, Renault and the MRS, but it seems that again, the group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, Mele Kyari, project that Nigeria will become a net exporter of petroleum product by next year. Well, I can only say, we know that Nigerians have not even make use of the refineries. Maybe they're relying on the Dangote, but how do we get to where we will be exporter of petroleum product by next year? Maybe, like I said, the Dangote refinery is what they're looking at. He was actually speaking at the Pengassin Energy and Labor Summit 2023. I love a lot of this summit. It's part of networking, bringing the hopes. But I've witnessed so many of this summit, and they've not produced as much as well. The 2023 Abuja yesterday, Kyari said, as a resource-dependent country, Nigeria should not be exporting 100% of its crude oil as it does at the present. Today, we export 100% of our productions. No resources-dependent country does this. And that is why we must deliver on our mandate. I don't want to speak about it. When it is done, you will see it. Well, we hope we're going to see it when the first phase of the Port Harcourt refinery promised by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to come up on the stream. So I don't want to tell you we are going to revamp our refinery, because he knows definitely the refinery will not be revamped, but assurance have been given by the president that December come, in just 3 months, the Port Harcourt refinery will be up and running.
Well, the former president Obasanjo said that, well, that is just making loads of noise. So we hope that maybe with the NNPC saying that they have a way of doing that, because even Nigeria itself, they don't have enough fuel, and the prices of fuel is scarce, and we have a times where they have shortages. So if that is being very optimistic, and let's see what happens. I mean, we wish the best for the country, but well, let's see. Ola Akiyemi, good morning to you. I hope you are doing very well. Thank you very much for joining us as well. And as many of you who are on the various platforms, the sister broadcast, we want to salute each and every one of you. Continue to share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones, and invite them to like our pages as well. Starr Radio UK. Now moving on to the next story. Now, before the elections, we had the president now, then candidate Tinubu's speech at Chatham House. That some are saying that it contradicts Keyamo's attempt to defend certificates forgery case. I mean, yesterday we were talking about what the PDP presidential candidate Archie was saying. I mean, and the fact that some further information that's going to come in from the FBI pertaining to Tinubu's involvement in some shady drug deals or whatever that went on, as whether it is true or not, whatever. So we're talking about the fact that there is a tendency that the media could be gagged in a way, and it seems to be what is going on in Nigeria. But I was saying that, well, you can gag people, but you can't gag us here, because we are the place where there is freedom of information, and we tell you as it is. I mean, we will not be biased. If it's there, we'll say it. If it's not, we won't say that it's there. So, Yomi, what has gone on? What speech? What did he say in that speech at Chatham House, and how is it contradicting Keyamo's statement?
Well, remember that the president, as at the time, was just the candidate. All the candidate flew to London. I mean, many Nigerians still wonder why Chatham House has to be a place where we have to come and talk. But Tinubu spoke less. I mean, he actually gave as much of the question to his team to help him to resolve the answer to that. But according to the headline, Tinubu's speech at the Chatham House contradicts the senior advocate of Nigeria, the aviation minister Festus Keyamo's attempt to defend the certificate forgery case. In an attempt to defend President Bola Tinubu's Chicago State University certificate forgery, the Nigerian aviation minister Festus Keyamo says Mr. Tinubu obtained a certificate from a third-party vendor, literally contradicting Mr. Tinubu's earlier claim that he obtained his original replacement certificate from the US-based university. So I think that is where the contradiction is happening, because if Tinubu says, well, I mean, I got the certificate from the US-based university, maybe Festus Keyamo was not briefed before he went on air to say what he said. Probably, what is that? But Mr. Keyamo tweeted on Sunday on the X space, argued that so long as the university openly said they do not issue replacement certificate, but that vendors do so on their behalf. We know some university does that. All these noise about the so-called forgery are useless until the particular vendor that issued the replacement certificate of President Bola Tinubu denies its authenticity. It is the duty of the accuser to fish out the said vendor and get evidence. It is not the other way around. He who alleges must prove.
Interesting. Now, as we know, I mean, for him to lie under oath is perjury, and it's, I mean, we were talking about it last week. They're looking at the consequences of it. That could, but as we know, that's what his spokespeople are. I mean, just spinning everything around. So I can tell you that, well, as a degree from Oxford University, we have not been to Oxford or Cambridge, and therefore, get some third parties to issue something for me, whether it is authentic, whether it's not. And the certificate, I mean, with the logo and everything there, if you are a third party, you are issuing something of the sort, it needs to be exactly what that is, but it's like a copy of what the original should be, and that's what. But we don't know. We'll be watching very, very closely. But what have they proceeded to the Supreme Court, and what has been some of the proceedings from there, Yomi, if you know?
Well, we'll have to wait, for that judgment. We're expecting that judgment, now that Atiku has finally pushed, the last evidence, if that is going to be accepted or not, but he has actually submitted that. But we're expecting within the next 60 days for a kind of outcome from the Supreme Court.
Latif Abdullahi, good morning to you. We thank God. He said, morning to you. Well done, Archie and White Lion. We thank you very much for joining us once again. But share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. It is Starr Radio UK, updates from Nigeria. With Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios, and we're bringing you everything you need to know. Now, interestingly, Wike broke ranks from the PDP. Was causing a lot of trouble because he wanted to be the running mate, which he didn't get. Now he's saying that, you know what, all the noise that the EU was making pertaining to the elections, you know, when you are in there, you defend it. When you are outside, you castigate. He said, well, the EU for 2023 elections interference, he was slamming them. That the bloc to support Nigeria's economy instead of slamming them. Yomi.
Well, you've just given Wike's, each time he's speaking, he puts on the dark shade, and you wonder maybe something is hidden behind the eyes that he doesn't want us to see. But you're quite right. The European Union gave their report after the election. You know, we've read those reports, and we've been able to, looked at some of those details of those reports. And yes, the election was very, very flawed. But again, it has produced a precedent. The purpose, according to Wike, was not to determine whether the elections were legitimate or not, but to analyze the process and then afterward make a lot of recommendations. It's not the first time that we're making recommendation. It's the current FCT minister, so that means that the position will make him get a lot of engagement with not just diplomats that are flying into Abuja, probably for the different reasons, but he would also be one of those ministers that would have to present FCT in a way that investors and those that are coming to Nigeria, he's talked about a lot of things while he's been in that office, and he's also been some kind of allegation that he rebooked that he hasn't got a bulletproof car. But let's go into it. From what he's saying is because the FCT minister, Nelson Wike, has now urged the European Union to support Nigerians' effort to grow the economy rather than interfere with what is known as the country's internal affairs. Mr. Wike stated this when the EU ambassador to Nigeria, Samuel Isopi, visited his office in Abuja yesterday. Also speaking on the EU Election Observation Mission Report of 2023 general elections, the minister expressed his reservation on the position of the EU, which he describes as a kind of interference with the internal affairs of Nigeria.
Now, if he's calling that interference, now what is he calling the fact that Jonathan has been sent as the head of a delegation to Liberia, monitoring what is going on? So they want to say that when you come to monitor elections or anything, just shut up, let us do whatever we want to do, and then after that you can just go. You say, oh, we were there. What did you see or not see? I didn't see. It just went on. Is that what he's trying to say?
Like you said, the minister is just doing the bid of the administration that he's working for, even though he's a different political party, but he has to defend this administration, and he has actually promised that he will do as much as what needs to be done, to work with these, administration of the President Bola Tinubu. Like I said, Mr. Wike added that rather you should observe and make a recommendation, but it seems that the interference came when there were election petition tribunal going on. It took Rivers State as an example. How many of you were in Rivers State to visit the 6,886 polling units? Well, he knew that those polling units have been bribed because, Wike worked tirelessly against, Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate in that particular state. If you saw some infractions in about 20 polling units, is that enough to make a general conclusion? With a question mark. I felt that as a sitting governor, you were trying to indict me for not allowing the state to have a free democratic process, and that is not correct thing to do. If you look at here in the UK, on Sunday, I was like, getting a door knocked, and I opened the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, and guess what? Census is being double checked to make sure that those of us that says we're living in that particular residence, because election is coming next year, so they want to be sure that you are still on the voters register. What that implies is I might decide to vote at the polling unit on the day, from 7 a.m. to about 10 p.m. if I'm right, or you can do what we call, a postal voting. If Nigeria has the same system, there might be less people that wants to go and show their face so that they are not being attacked. But again, the whole process that he's saying, 20 units cannot be used to judge. The question is, how many more units does the minister want before we're going to use that to judge if we have a fair and a very processed election?
Well, maybe next time when the EU or international communities are coming into the country for monitoring of election, they need to bring more people. More. How many constituencies that they have or police stations? They bring more people like that. The same quantity. Let them fill the place, and then they can tell us exactly what's happening. But listen, this is Starr Radio UK 11:27. The time. About 100,000 Nigerian students left for UK varsities in 5 years. That's what the minister is saying. Is it saying that as an achievement? And that look, economy is good, and therefore people are able to finance their children. People are able to finance themselves in universities. Is that what it's saying? And how many of them are willing to return to Nigeria to help them in Nigeria?
Well, UK is a destination for not just Nigerians. Last week that we were at the magistrate at Marylebone, I saw the London Business School, and you could see quite a number of Chinese that do travel down here, for education reasons. I mean, you can go to anywhere and get further education, but like you said, the question is, would you be ready to return back and serve the country that you have left? The question first is, has the country paid for that trip that you will want to go back when you can also find a better opportunity as a lecturer or working in a very place. Remember that the former Labour Minister Ngige told us that it's a good thing when doctors leave Nigeria. Guess what? They can send dollars, forex back to Nigeria. Well, the question then is, if we have about 100,000 Nigerians that have left, to study here in the United Kingdom, like I always say, the universities here are business centers, so they need as many numbers to make up their revenue as well. The question then is, whatever knowledge that they've passed on to these 100,000, how many of them would be ready to move back to Nigeria and help with the progress, especially as we continue to look at why many Nigerians doesn't want to return. In the 60s, just before the Western region, many people that were sent to study abroad returned back with the guarantee of the job, a vehicle, and a house over your roof. And that way, many people wanted to go back home. But in reverse now, many wants to stay, and that is also creating a lot of frictions when it comes to the immigration in UK, because when you complete those education and you want to stay around, that literally means that immigration numbers continue to push up. But we must not say that as many Nigerians that are pulling effort, millions of naira to come and study here, we must also understand that they're doing that so that they can get a better life for themselves. And as many people around them as well. Of course.
Yeah. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. So they pay all those monies and they get all that education, and they will come home and they wouldn't get any job to go to. What's the point? Do they want to go back? No. So that's why our leaders, they have to make sure that the fundamentals are good, so that somebody can come in, invest after education, get a job, and whatever they've acquired or learned, they will also be able to bring that. But listeners, before Yomi, we talk about that behind you, let's listen to this song a bit. Yes, this is from Janet, and it said Arabani. Okay, so that somebody said I would give up whatever I'm going to say now. But don't you worry. After the updates, I'm going to bring you all the latest of that song. Yomi will tell for those of us who don't understand the Yoruba language, he will try to give us a sneak view of what that song actually means there. But Sunday. Sunday evening, information came through telling us that Chief Sunday Igboho has finally been given the freedom in Benin, so he could move out of the country and do whatever things there. And then yesterday night, we had information that he's reached his family home in Germany as well. But Yomi, can you give us the details from Sunday to what is happening lately?
Well, let's listen to the first few seconds, and we probably can confirm that. I think we should listen to this first. This was that statement that Igboho released on Sunday.
Hello everyone, I read myself, Chief Sunday Adeyemo, aka Igboho. First of all, my sincere appreciation goes to God Almighty, the Master of the universe, for making this day. I want to say a big thank you to all Yoruba sons and daughters all over the world for the love and support before and after the loss of my dear mother. Though she still kept at the morgue, waiting for me to come and then give her the befitting burial that she deserves. I give special thanks to President Harold of Benin Republic and to all members of his cabinet. My gratitude goes to my hero father, Professor Banji Akitoye, and Professor Wole Soyinka for the support in the course of the struggle. May God reward you, Baba, for your standing courageously for Yoruba nation and for me. You promised to stand by me through my ordeal in Benin Republic, and you have fulfilled your promise. I will not forget to appreciate former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Baba Ayo Adebanjo, for their roles. Even though only God gives freedom, let me use this opportunity to say thanks to all religion leaders, pastor, alpha, and the traditional worshipper for the prayer day and night. Our royal fathers, Oba and Chief in Yoruba land, your love and support is so appreciated. But we need more of your support to deliver our land from the slavery of the Fulani, because Yoruba land is ours. Although I have many Obas on my list, but Oba Francis Olusola Alao.
And that was on Sunday, but just less than 24 hours, this time yesterday, he was still en route to Germany, and we caught up with him. He was still in the vehicle, driving him home. This was his reaction.
Our hero father, Baba Dada, Baba Lalubarika. Èmi yóò kú fún mi bàbá, ẹ pẹ́ fún mi, ẹ jẹun àwọn ọmọ yín, ẹ gbé wa délẹ̀ lérí láti Ọlọ́run ni. Ẹ̀yin lẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ rẹ̀ ní ẹ̀lẹ́ parí ẹ̀, ẹni ẹlẹ́nu nígbà sí sí. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo àwọn ẹgbẹ́ YCM pápátá. Kéèbù tiẹ̀, ó ti di rọ́bì àtọ́jú.
Bó ṣe wà ní ẹ̀kọ́ ṣá.
Àfẹ́ ká bẹ́ẹ̀ni kankan bú ọba tàbí bú jòyè kankan bọ̀ náà. Ẹ̀sọ́ pẹ̀, yẹ́sẹ̀ bọ̀ náà lọ́kọ̀ọ́rẹ́. A fẹ́ gba ẹ̀tọ́ àwọn bàbá wa fún wọn padà lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí àwọn ìjẹ̀lú èèyàn tó ń para lọ́sọ̀tẹ̀ ẹ lọ sùn. Òsì bẹ́ẹ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá ti wá ní kọ̀dẹ̀ níbàjẹ́.
Àṣẹ wà.
Èmi ń bẹ́nu ọmọ tó ní kíńkà ní Yorùbá, ó kọ́ la gbangba.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Èmi nìkan ni mo ní kíńkà ní Yorùbá lójú, mo ní mo fẹ́ sá lọ, mo fẹ́ sá lọ.
Identity Yorùbá nìyẹn. Social ID nìyẹn. Social ID ni.
Tọ́lọ̀ bá fẹ́ kí n mọ̀ sòyìnbó, yóò lọ create mi sí Amẹ́ríkà tàbí England, but no.
Thank you for bringing the world closer to your door.
Then you want me to be a Yoruba great. So I'm a great Yoruba man. I'm a confirmed Yoruba man. God bless you, sir. God bless you.
And that was, how we caught up with him just before he got into his home. He was still in the vehicle. It's about a few hours drive from the airport to where he lives in Germany. Let me just give us the background of what we know so far. I mean, Igboho was held in Benin Republic since 2021 on his way to Germany, just like he was, he did yesterday, but it was a different case because the DSS had an intel to stop him, and that circular was sent to most airports within the borders of Nigeria, and Benin Republic responded quickly when Igboho appeared at the counter while he was traveling to Germany. He was taken away into the custody. The Nigerian government sent a helicopter, wanted to take him back, just like they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu and rendition him back to Nigeria. But under the leadership of the Yoruba self-determination struggle, Professor Banji Akintoye, that helicopter was not allowed to fulfill the mission. Igboho appeared in the court the following day, and the legal battle means that the Nigerian government have to present reason why Benin Republic must hold him. Well, the media's out on different allegations that Igboho was traveling on a false document, literally quickly, went outside, the basket, because he wasn't traveling with a fake document, and he was not in Benin Republic. More than the fact that he was only traveling out of Benin Republic, being a West African, community. But unfortunately, because the information from Nigeria was the reason why he was held. But Sunday, Patrick Talon, the president of Benin Republic, gave a full, release of Igboho, and that literally means that Igboho can now continue his journey. The case between Igboho and the federal government continue. Compensation hasn't been paid. Appeal was made by the former AGF Malami against the 20 billion to the damage of Igboho. Also, let us remember that 2 individuals are still being held. The bodies, Adogon and his uncle Fatai, have not been returned as well. And like I was saying again this morning while I was engaging a radio station in Oshogbo, it seems the narrative is always that Igboho is fighting against the government. Igboho has never taken arms against the government, as alleged by the DSS that Igboho was using his house in Soka to stockpile ammunition and fight resolution against the federal government.
Interesting. Listen to Starr Radio UK. We applaud him. We thank God for what has happened so far. And Yomi has given you a bit of a background to it. Now, in his acknowledgement, he mentioned Professor Banji Akintoye, Wala Soyinke, Professor, and the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He mentioned a few people. But what role do you think, apart from Professor had to move, he's come from Nigeria straight to go and live in Benin as well. So I know that Professor was there with him all the time and virtually making statements from there. But what role do you think Wole Soyinka and Olusegun Obasanjo play in his release?
Well, remember that let's start with Professor Wole Soyinka. He's been in this situation before, especially during the Biafra War. There was an history that Professor Wole Soyinka traveled to that region as at the time. He's also someone that has been in exile at some point. He was detained, he was arrested. So he understands, the cost of Igboho, and he knew that Igboho was doing nothing more than the fact that, he wasn't fighting against the government, even though the government believed that Igboho was fighting the government. I remember what Soyinka, professor, said, it is a cock and bull story that Igboho was using his house in Soka, to stockpile ammunition to fight against the government. Also, we saw that, Professor, he's very well learned. He has an influence of, what we can call Benin Republic. So he traveled to Benin Republic. There was a lot of work that went underneath. And he talked about the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. He was one time a former president. He has a good love for Benin Republic, as against the, Muhammadu Buhari, that actually locked and almost put a hatred between Nigerians and Beninese, because the closure of the border by the former president Muhammadu Buhari almost created a rift between 2 neighbors, even though the Niger border was left open on the other side. So when we talk about, Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president, he has a big weight in Africa, and that weight also went in line. He visited Patrick Talon a few times, but again, these are closed-door conversations. But we know that Oloye Igboho decided to put not just himself, also the Afeniferis, and likewise many organizations from the YSDM to the Ilana Modua to Global Directorate to YOV, the Iba Gani Adams, the Area Onokakanfo. Even many people think that Igboho was trying his best, maybe to outshine certain people in Nigeria, mostly in the southwest of Nigeria. But that was a wrong narrative. But today, he's returned back to the family that he has not seen for almost 2.5 years.
Yeah, in Germany, and we thank God for that. But do you think that the president Tinubu has a role to play? Because since his inception as a president, we have President Talon coming there a couple of times. So it looks like maybe Tinubu was, even he was with what do you call him, Buhari and all that time, didn't have maybe he didn't agree with him, but maybe he didn't come out to come and say whatever. So for Talon to come there, and then Talon, with the relationship that he's created, the rapport with Tinubu, and still go on to release that means that maybe there seems to be some, because maybe Tinubu is a Yoruba man, he thinks, let him go, he's not done anything that is worth incarcerating him. Yomi?
Well, the first meeting between the two presidents was in France, during the Global Financial Summit, and then, we saw Talon coming to Nigeria just after the visit. The issue of the coup d'etat happened. They have to come back again.
Yeah.
And yes, there's been a kind of, the President Bola Tinubu went to, the Independence Day of the Benin Republic. He was well welcome. A lot of our roses, especially, like you said, from coming from the southwest. But there hasn't been any communicate to pin or indicate that, Tinubu played a role in this particular release of, Igboho. Like you said, they must have had this conversation, but it is not something that we are aware of. But what we can confirm is that Tinubu, must play the role, whether or not. Especially the case of Nnamdi Kanu. The difference between Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu is Igboho is not in Nigeria. He wasn't pinned down in Nigeria. He actually, find his way out to Benin Republic. As against Nnamdi Kanu, that was kidnapped by the former president, we literally now can say that Tinubu will have to allow the institution to play the role when the case returned back with Nnamdi Kanu on the 15th of December this year. Buhari said, I will allow the court to do the needful, just like Tinubu will have to allow the court to do the needful in Benin Republic. There was no charges against Igboho in Benin Republic, and I repeat again, there is no charges against him, and that means that he has to now regain his full freedom.
Well, we thank God, as I said, and today is his birthday as well, so we hope that he has a very, very good celebration. But now that it's out of Benin, out of Africa, now here. Now, what have been the reactions? I will let you bring the rest of the stories and what the reaction has been on the social media, how people have taken the whole thing, and how or what is the next agenda. Is Professor Banji Akintoye going to leave Benin and come to Nigeria, or is he going to stay put? Because if he is the voice or the father of the whole thing, that ideology, will his life not be threatened and everything of the sort? Yomi?
Well, there is no any indication as I speak to you right now that Professor Adebanji will be leaving Benin Republic, even though he gave this assurance that he will not leave Benin Republic until his son, Sunday Igboho, is finally released. I think Professor has found Benin as a home, in as much as home is still in Nigeria Southwest, but Professor will remain in Benin Republic, where the work for the actualization of the Yoruba nation struggle continue from there. Also, we know that Professor still has a lot of diaspora that fly in and out of Benin Republic. He has his office there, and I'm not sure he's returning to Nigeria anytime soon. With the struggle is still a continuation, just like so many struggles around the world, including the Scottish that are asking for the next referendum, even though the Westminster is still not happy for that referendum to pop up, but they still need to push for that. So Igboho spoke yesterday, he advised a lot of us, that are campaigner, to try and come together, work together, but most importantly, the abuses of the royal fathers must now stop. And if anyone is doing that, that literally means that you're doing that on your own. You are not part of the Yoruba world and home-based media and so many independent campaigners of the Yoruba nation struggle.
Well, we can see that he acknowledged them, and in the southeast as well, he acknowledged all the freedom fighters and everybody there. I mean, he said that their support has been great, and that's why I said that you have to come out from a united front. This is a quest for freedom, not people stopping people from marginalizing you. So if we have the same cause, why not? Shamsuddin, good morning to you. He says, God bless Yoruba Nation. Yoruba Nation will want, and God bless you all. God bless you too, Shamsuddin. Listen to Star Radio, okay, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. I know that some of those would chop a lot of time, 11:46, but it was a good time to bring about everything that we are talking about. So we'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories and what is happening on the social media, and then we can bring that update to a close there. Over to you, Yomi.
APC SDP boys are using rockets and bombs to unleash terror in Kogi State, according to the police and the DSS, ignoring mayhem. This is coming from Alex Kadira. We know that within the next 1 month, on the 11th of November, Kogi State goes into another election. And as usual, election is a tension as well. 2023-24 legal year, judges are well taken care of in Oyo State, according to the Chief Justice Iyabo Yerima. That is coming from one of the headlines. The Kano State government to distribute 387,000 bags of food items as palliatives. The question many Nigerians are asking in the southwest in Ogun State, how come one bag of rice is being told to deliver to one particular community, while the other part of the state in the north, it seems that they're moving with heavy bags? So many people are still questioning some of the governors regarding such. Nigerians can trust Tinubu. Is focused on transparency. Nigerians can trust Tinubu. Is focused on transparency, integrity. This is coming from Betty Edu. According to the information coming out from the minister, says that Nigerians can trust me, not just me, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as well. Internet fraud, court issues production warrant against Naira Marley. Seems that Naira Marley is still going through a lot, as he's still being detained for 21 days after he returned back to Nigeria for the death allegation against him on the death of Mohbad. We go straight to the social media, 11:48, the 10th, 2023, on the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And as we go into that, the reaction of Igboho is still trending, just as the reaction of many other news coming around the world, especially as many Nigerians are looking to the Israel as well. But most importantly, Yakubu Gowon, we were told that he died, only for the media aid to come out to say Yakubu Gowon is still alive. So that is trending this morning. And most importantly, reactions are coming when it comes to Igboho. A lot of Nigerians or Yorubas are sending what we can call happy birthday greetings to Oloye Dr. Sunday Igboho, and that reaction is flying out very fast. But also some are questioning whether Igboho should have returned to Nigeria, while some question whether he's still even in the movement. Let's go straight to what Simon Ekpa said 3 hours ago. The Nigerian terrorist government are using the Nigerian army for Islamization. This is what is going on, burning villages, killing our women and children for no just reason. The Biafra army will continue to engage them until we declare Biafra. Wura _Yoruba Nimi says, happy birthday, long life and prosperity to Chief Sunday Igboho. Last boy, happy birthday is also coming. But this is a one from Africa _confidential at Bumi _speaks. He wrote a little bit of episode, and that will bring the end of the broadcast on the social media. I see some of you are doubting Oloye Sunday Igboho's commitment to a sovereign Yoruba nation, especially now that he's finally a free man. A few still insist he is contracted by these corrupt politicians, despite the assassination attempt on his life by the Nigerian state for campaigning for the Yoruba nation that resulted in the brutal murder of some family members and eventually forced him into exile. While he still openly reiterated his commitment to the struggle whenever he could while in custody. So you want him to be actively shouting Yoruba nation in custody, all this while just to please you with a question mark. I guess that is just human for you. There is really nothing you can do to please the world or convince anyone committed to misunderstanding you. But Sunday Igboho is not a talker, he's a doer. He was never a social media activist like many of us are. I won't come on one day because of you or anyone else. He's not just a hero to us, but also a living legend, because his name will be remembered forever, up there with the likes of Oduduwa. So believe whatever you choose to, he has nothing to prove to a single soul. Igboho has made his mark, and those of us who are strongly behind him know exactly where he stands, and his capability are contented, and that is all that matters. Your opinions are invalid, you don't count. And that is where we're going to put the conversation this morning.
Wow, listeners, a very wonderful update from Nigeria. And let me say thank you very much to Yomi and to every one of you who have been on the sister broadcast, and those of you on the Starr Radio Media, every one of you, we want to salute you. But I'm going to play that song that I started, Arabani. But Yomi, for the sake of those of us who don't understand Yoruba properly, we are Yorubas, but because we've lived outside too much, we don't understand it.
Well, Arabani is someone so unique and important, and it says Arabani Kubodoku. He must not die. We must do whatever it takes to protect this kind of individuals, because their death will go a long way in affecting humanity. So Arabani Kobodoku, that is what it actually means. And on the behalf of the Starr Radio UK, we say happy birthday to Chief Dr. Sunday Igboho, and most importantly to the wives and the children for bearing with us, for having him serving humanity.
Yeah. Thank you, Yomi. We'll catch up later.
Bye for now.
Bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and as I did promise, I'm bringing you Arabani from Janet, and we have got Yomi interpreting it into English for you, so now you understand it. He's a very, very important person for his stance, selfless. I mean, being incarcerated, being pursued, being his house being damaged because he was standing out for his people. Now, his house wasn't, before then, he didn't have anything of his cat, maybe his farm or anything destroyed. No, it was his people. He looked at the people there in the southwest and see what was happening to them. He said, no, this is not right. It shouldn't go on like that. And therefore stood up and he faced all these challenges. But we thank God for his life. And let's enjoy that song from him, and or dedicate this song to him, and then we move on from there. We'll be looking at some of the other stories making the rounds. That is now 11:53. Arabani from Janet. Enjoy it. Dedicated to Chief Sunday Igboho.
This is Starr Radio
broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7, in your car, at work, at home, on your smartphone.
Are you ready to turn it up?
Àwọn àgbààgbà ikọ̀ wọn kò tíra mú, odò sì wá ń kó wà láyé lọ. Ó máa ṣe òye, kò máa gbọ́dọ̀ wò. Arabani egbọ́dọ̀ wọ láwùjọ. Akíkanjú ọkùnrin ogun, èrò bá wí kọ́ mọ́ wọn ní igbó ọmọ rẹ̀. Iná máa rógún màmá ti di pẹ̀lẹ́ ọmọ bàbá rógún màmá ṣojo. Sunday ẹ̀yẹ tó má ṣe bọ́ kí yẹn ò sí ní gbọ́mọ́. Òrìṣà tí ó ṣe bọ́kọ̀ màdé mọ́ ni. Ṣebí yẹn ò kọ́mọ́ lágbẹ̀dẹ. Ẹ bá lè jẹ́ ẹ̀bọ̀nà jẹ́. Adéyẹmí yóò máa sọ ọ́
kan láìda. Kìkì orí tó mọ kan ní wípé Yorùbá nation yìí ló going back in. Ẹ̀dá bí rẹ̀ ṣọ̀wọ́n òye kò máa gbọ́dọ̀ wò kò máa gbọ́dọ̀ wò kò nílé wò òye. Ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ jẹ́ ká rórí. Ọjọ́ wo ni wọ́n dalẹ̀ Ifẹ̀ tán gangan? Àwọn kan sáré kó lè dára. Èrè bó bàjẹ́ kó kọ̀ mí láwọn kan sá. Ṣó dára kí dára ṣó ìwà lọ́kùn. Yorùbá ìrònú kẹ́lọ́ fi mọ̀ ṣọ̀kan.
This is Starr Radio UK.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
All around the world. All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
Ìdí táwọn àgbààgbà yìí tán kò fi lè sòdodo.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Otta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I bring the time now to 12 o'clock. And let me announce the lines open. You want to call in 0208 133 2257. And then you can text or WhatsApp us 0753 966 1744. 0753 966 1744. Our Twitter handle is a Starr Radio UK, or our X handle is at Starr Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com. All right, then. Now let's move on. Let's look at other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well. On the African front, well, French army has begun to withdraw from Niger. The withdrawal of the French army from Niger has commenced, and nearly half of all plans threatened with extinction, says a new report. An election day in Liberia, Algeria postponed its mediation in Niger. Some of the stories making their rounds. And Ethiopia, Oromo celebrate their formerly oppressed traditions. So let's take This one first. Now operations for the withdrawal of French soldiers present in Niger should begin this Tuesday. That's today, under the escort of the Nigerian army, announced the military regime, which came to power through a coup d'etat at a time when Algeria decides to suspend its mediation supposed to find a way out of the crisis. Now, operations for the departure of the first convoy under the escort of our defense and security forces will begin tomorrow. That's Tuesday. That's today. That's our information coming through. The military regime said on Monday evening in a press release read on national television Tele Sahel. The press release does not specify the destination of this convoy. The withdrawal of some 1,400 French soldiers from the country was demanded by Nigerian generals quickly after they came to power at the end of July. The French President Emmanuel Macron announced their departure at the end of September. Now, after meetings and exchanges between our authorities and the French side, a timetable for the withdrawal for their troops was determined by mutual agreement specifies the regime. This weekend, several convoys took place between the advanced bases in the northwest, where 400 soldiers are deployed, and the capital, Niamey. According to Nigerian French security forces who were interviewed, at least 2 convoys had allowed the bases of Kwalam and Tabari Bari to be supplied, and several French soldiers were considered as priorities to be transported to Niamey. The resupply made it possible to improve the situation of the French soldiers on the site. The reserves of rations, water, and fuel, and therefore the electricity produced from the generators could be counted in days. This also made it possible to prepare for their departure from the region known as 3 borders between Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, where they were deployed in the fight against terrorism alongside the Nigerians. Now, new routes can be used to leave Niger. Land borders are closed with Benin and Nigeria. The Nigerians prohibit the overflight of their territory by French civil and military aircraft unless authorized otherwise. So how are they going to be flying out of the country? Now, the other borders have been reopened with 5 countries: Algeria, Libya, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Chad, where the command of the French forces in the Sahel is located, based in N'Djamena. If the French containers are transported to Chad, they should then transit through the port of Douala in Cameroon, according to a source close to the matter. The Nigerian soldiers who came to power on July 26 by overthrowing elected President Mohamed Bazoum quickly engaged in a standoff with France, demanding the departure of its soldiers and its ambassador. At the end of September, Emmanuel Macron announced the departure of the French ambassador to Niamey, Sylvain Ite, who returned to Paris at the end of September. For its part, Algeria announced on Monday suspend its mediation intended to find a way out of the crisis in Niger until obtaining the clarification that considers necessary regarding the implementation of Algerian mediation in Niger. If the head of Algerian diplomacy, Ahmed Attaf, were to go to Niger, the exchanges between the two chancelleries on the program and content of this visit were not conclusive at the Moroccan Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Algeria proposed a detailed 6-month transition plan at the end of August. At the beginning of October, the Nigerian regime, however, recalled the duration of transition will only be set by an inclusive national dialogue. A few days after coming to power, General Rahman Tiani announced a transition lasting a maximum of 3 years. So that's what they want. Well, would they be given that, or will the international communities accept that? That is another question for another day. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. The polling stations opened at 8 a.m. GMT in Liberia today with over 2.4 million registered voters set to cast a ballot for general elections. Incumbent President George Weah faces 19 candidates. To win the presidency, a candidate must get at least 50% plus one of the votes cast. If no party reaches the threshold, the two parties with the most votes in the first round will proceed to a round-off election in November. Voters will also elect members of the House of Representatives in the Senate at the end of their term of office. The cost of living crisis, development, and establishment of war crimes court to bring to justice the key figures behind the country's civil wars conflict are some of the main election issues. Now, Liberia's main parties have pledged to uphold peace during the polls, despite clashes between rival camps in the final days of the campaign. The polling stations will close at 6 p.m. That's GMT. First results are expected within 15 days. Interesting. No? Yeah, man. Okay, then. Listen to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Yeah. Okay. I've talked about Algeria postponing its mediation of the Nigerian situation. So we'll just move on from there. But interestingly, nearly half of all plants threatened with extinctions, says a new report. Now, more than 3/4 of undescribed plant species are already threatened with extinction, according to a new report by the Royal Botanic Garden in Kew, that's here in London. And for non-flowering plants, the picture is also bleak. 45% of them are estimated to be threatened with extinction. Now, Kew's report gives a global snapshot of plant species. Now, since 2020, more than 18,800 new species of plants and fungi have been named. Now, all were added to the world checklist of vascular plants in an international database of scientifically described plant species. It currently includes over 350,000 species. Dr. Matilda Brown, conservation science analyst at the Royal Botanic Garden, Kew, explains how Kew was able to give such estimation. In a quote, she said, "How do we pull this number for things that we don't even know are out there? And the way we do that is we looked at things that have been described, and we look at when they were described." Well, interesting one there. We hope that we don't extinct those plants, and they will not end up extincting humanity as well. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay. Now, a final story. A Kenyan court has put Haiti deployment on temporary hold. Now, a Kenyan court on Monday temporarily suspended a government plan to send police to Haiti on a UN-backed mission aiming to restore calm at a gang-infested Caribbean nation. The UN Security Council last week approved a Kenyan-led multinational security force for the troubled country, with Nairobi promising 1,000 police officers. But a Nairobi court granted an interim injunction on Monday in a case brought by opposition politician Ekuru Akut, who argued the deployment was unconstitutional as it was not backed by any law or treaty. Now, Akut, a lawyer who helped draft Kenya's revised 2010 constitution, charged that Kenya was deploying its police abroad at a time it had failed to quell insecurity within its own borders. And that was the question. That was the statement that I made when I saw that as well. Sometime last month when Kenya was planning to do so. He said, "I'm satisfied that the application and petition raise substantial issues of national importance and public interest and require urgent consideration." High Court Judge Enoch Muita ruled a conservatory order is hereby issued restraining the respondents from deploying police officers to Haiti or any other country until 24th of October 2023, the ruling said. Now, Haiti, the Western Hemisphere's poorest nation, has been in turmoil for years with armed gangs taking over parts of the country and unleashing brutal violence, and the economy and public health system also in tatters. Now, details of Kenya's deployment are still not finalized, with Parliament yet to approve the move as required by law. The UN-backed is a no shortcuts. Now, the UN-backed mission, initially approved for 1 year, envisions Kenyan police on the offensive with their Haitian counterparts, who are outnumbered and outgunned by gang members. Now, the force aims to provide operational support to the Haitian National Police, including building its capacity through the planning and conduct of joint security support operations, according to the UN resolution passed last week. The mission will also aim to create conditions to help or hold elections which have not taken place in Haiti since 2016. Now, Kenya's involvement has been criticized at home, with many questioning the wisdom of such a risky mission. Now, Rights Watchdog also says Kenya Police has a history of using sometimes lethal force against civilians, and that they pose an unacceptable risk in Haiti, where foreign troops have committed abuses in past interventions. But what we're talking about, fighting against gangs who are actually going rampaging in that part of the world. And again, the other question that I ask is, why are the countries, neighboring countries there, not sending or giving help when it comes to troops? Why are they not doing that? And why should it take Kenya from where we are in Africa to now move people there? So it looks like when you don't have anything to give, nobody gives a hoot about you. Whatever want to happen to you can happen to you. Now, when assuming Haiti had got some serious resources, you will be seeing how the Western world, they'll be flying there to try to stop things from happening. But because they've not got, as I do say all the time, players love you when you are playing. Because they got nothing to play, nobody seems to care about them. It has to take Kenya to say that we want to send troops in. What is the UN doing? Can't you say UN forces there? Well. Listeners, it's all coming away from Starr Radio, okay? Now, holding on or going on straight to Ghana as well. The Inspector General, please. Dr. George Kufu Dampare's lawyer has fingered Samuel Attai-Chan, chairman of the Parliament's ad hoc committee probing the controversial tape over his conduct in the ongoing probe. According to Kwame Jang, the chairman, who ought to be neutral to the witness, has shown his biases. Speaking in an interview, the outspoken lawyer insisted that Mr. Attai-Chan has his own agenda that he's pursuing in the matter. He has his own agenda. He will be granting media interviews to the extent that after one sitting, he went out there and said extended tape submitted by Bugri Nabu, which had not been played at the committee, has been doctored. Very prejudicial comments, he said. He said this behavior of the chairman will not be countenanced going forward. According to him, he will ensure every action of his will be in tandem with the law, or else it will be opposed strongly. Now, because of respect for Parliament and the institution and presence on the committee, I drop my guns, but I'm going to do what lawyers do going forward, he added. Mr. John is not the only person making such an assertion, as political scientist Professor Rashford Jempo has earlier said. Same. According to him, the posture of the chairman during the hearing of the IGP communicated his personal biases against the IGP. He said it is apparent that a Buakwa MP has taken the side of the bitter police officers whose voices had been identified in the leaked tape. Hence, the call for him to step down. You aren't smarter than Ghanaians. We can glean your partiality, your body language, line of questioning, and recurring remarks consistently hint at personal biases against the IGP. You don't look like a credible chairman of an important committee. Rather, you look more like a defense counsel for the bitter police officers whose quest to be made IGPs so that they can subvert the will of the people has been exposed. Now, meanwhile, the committee will resume its sitting today after a close to a month of suspension, but the rest of the probe will be in camera. It is due to security implications. All the witnesses will congregate with their lawyers, and then they are supposed to give us the evidential support in relation to what they said openly and privately, the chairman, Mr. Atechia, has stated. But well, we'll bring you more updates from there. But that's what the lawyer Kwame Jan is saying pertaining to the IGP's quest to actually clear his name. Now, when it comes to other stories from Ghana as well, let me bring you this one and then we'll move on straight from there. The minority in parliament has demanded immediate removal of managing director for National Investment Bank, Samuel Sapong, in order to save the bank. Now, it goes on further to say, according to the minority, Mr. Sapong has passed his mandatory retirement age and thus should make way for fresh energy to save the bank. The minority has been on a crusade to stop government from handing the NIB to ADB as a result of its precarious financial state. Addressing the media ranking member for the Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, said his side is aware of the sleazy deals at the NIB. At the right time, those involved will be made to answer. I am surprised that a sick bank that required around the clock 24-hour attention by an energetic young man is being managed by an overaged man. We know that when you attain 60 towards 70 in this body, no matter what, there will be health challenges. So do you prioritize that challenge on your priority, or you prioritize your sick NIB? Now, I call on the president in the interest of NIB and the national interest to sack Samuel Sapong to go home and continue his retirement and get a very young, energetic, matured man who has the energy and the drive and still has a new body to turn around the NIB. The lawmaker stated. But interestingly, we have old people who are strong, right? We have Donald Trump. Is he not a strong man? And we have Joe Biden, who seems to be falling down every now and then. But well, so it depends. So it depends on nature, what nature gives you, you know. But well. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on because we're going to be bringing the program to a close pretty soon. And this afternoon we're bringing you BB Means Business with BB Clement. And today today celebrates the Mental Health Day and International Mental Health Day. So we'll be bringing you something along those lines on BB Clement. So make sure you make a date with us. Okay. So, well, Israel says Gaza border is finally secured as airstrikes continue. Israel says it has secured its border with Gaza 3 days after Hamas broke through the barrier to launch a murderous assault that has left more than 900 people dead. No militants have crossed in the past day, but the bodies of 1,500 have been recovered after days of fighting, the Israeli army says. Now, Israeli airstrikes on Gaza Strip have continued overnight. The Air Force said 200 targets are hit. Information coming through said there was the worst bombing that has ever happened in 20 years, with neighborhoods flattened. Now, more than 700 people have been killed by the strikes. Palestinian authorities have said UN Children's Agency UNICEF is calling for humanitarian corridor in and out of Gaza as Israel has cut supplies of fuel, electricity, and water. And Iran's supreme leader denies his country was involved in attacks on Israel, but praises those who carried it out. Now, Hamas will not negotiate on hostages is another story that is broken through. Ismail Haniyeh, head of Hamas political bureau, says it will not negotiate with Israel about the hostages it has captured until fighting is over. We have informed all parties that contacted us regarding the enemy's prisoners held by resistance that this file will not be opened before the end of the battle, he says, and it will only be at a price that resistance will accept. As we reported earlier, Israel estimates Hamas is holding between 100 and 150 people who are kidnapped from southern Israel, or who were kidnapped from southern Israel on Saturday. I mean, I know the Christian community will say, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Yes, So not taking sides there, but it's a praying for the peace, so that there will be peace in that particular place. So whether they are, because innocent people's life are being taken on both sides. And somebody say, so what is the point? So peace and peace is what everybody is praying for, that cool heads will prevail and lives will be saved. All right then. Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio. Okay, let's move on to some other story. All right. In Myanmar, well, at least 29 people, including children, have been killed in an artillery strike on a displaced person camp in northeast of Myanmar, near the Chinese border. The camp is in an area controlled by the Kachin Independence Organization, one of several ethnic insurgent groups which have been fighting for self-rule for many decades. All the victims were civilians, a spokesman said. It is one of the deadliest attacks in 63-year-long conflict, Kachin state. Now, Kachin officials say the armed forces have scaled up attacks on KIO run areas over the past year because of growing Kachin support for other insurgent groups fighting the military government. Now, much of Myanmar has been embroiled in a wider civil war since 2021. Military coup displaced the country's elected government. The military has increasingly used airstrikes against opposition-controlled towns and villages since seizing power. The exiled National Unity Government has blamed the junta for the attack on the camp, describing it as a war crime and crime against humanity. Now, junta spokesman Major General Zhao Min Tong denied the military was behind the attack. So who attacked them? He claimed the army does not have any operations in the area and said that destruction was probably caused by stockpiled explosive. Interesting. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio. Okay, I think they have to take international community inspectors there to actually come and tell them exactly what has happened there. A man who crashed his car into Chinese consulate has been shot dead in San Francisco. Police have shot and killed a man who crashed his car into Chinese consulate on Monday. A police statement said the unidentified man was shot after officers arrived at the scene. The footage online showed a blue Honda car in lobby and dozens of people fleeing in the consulate body. The consulate statement condemned the incident, adding that it posed a serious threat to the safety of its staff and other people at the scene. We strongly condemn this violent attack and reserve the right to pursue responsibility for the incident, it added. China's foreign ministry had accused the unidentified individual of breaking into the consulate to hurt people inside the office. The consulate has since temporarily closed parts of its office and had lodged a solemn representation, a phrase of expressing diplomatic discontent to the U.S., urging authorities to ensure that the matter is properly dealt with. Now, police said an open and active investigation was underway, but have not revealed much information. When officers arrived here on scene, they found the vehicle had come to rest inside the lobby of the Chinese consulate. Now, officers entered, made contact with the suspect, and an officer involved shooting occurred, said Catherine Winters, a spokesman for the San Francisco Police Department. The suspect was later pronounced deceased at the hospital, she added. She said the police were coordinating with officials from the U.S. State Department for the investigation, adding there was very little information that we can give at this time. Now, police say they are still trying to ascertain exactly how many people were in the office at the time of the incident. Pictures from the consulate soon after the car was driven into the building show a heavy police presence with the consulate building in the city's Japantown area cordoned off. Now, queue barriers and chairs lay toppled in the lobby, while other pieces of furniture were damaged. No injuries have been reported from inside the consulate. San Francisco will host the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation next month, with China's President Xi Jinping expected to attend. Will he? Okay, listeners, It is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. A couple of final stories, and then we'll bring the program to a close for today. Now, UK and Ireland, and Republic of Ireland, has been confirmed to host the UEFA 2028 Euros. Yes, and says the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland will host 2028 European Championship. UEFA has confirmed the joint bid ran unopposed after Turkey withdrew to focus on a bid with Italy for Euro 2032, which was also confirmed at a meeting in Switzerland. Now, both bids ran unopposed but still needed official approval from UEFA. The UK and Ireland focused on Euro 2028 with UEFA approval after they ended the plan to be Europe's preferred candidate for 2030 World Cup. Now, it is understood that Cardiff's Principality Stadium will host the opening watch of the 2028 tournament with the final at London's Wembley. The Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales have never hosted a major football tournament. Matches at Euro 2028 are set to be held at 10 different grounds, including Glasgow Hampden Park, Dublin's Aviva Stadium, Belfast's Casement Park, Everton Bramley Moor Dock, the former unbuilt, while that one is unbuilt, while the latter is still under construction. Were also included in the bid. England were one of the 11 countries to host the Euro 2020, along with Scotland, as well as being sole host of the 1966 World Cup and Euro 96. England also hosted the second breaking Women's European Championship in 2022. It is all coming away from Star Radio UK. So for football fanatics, something there for you to look forward to. Now, some of the sad stories coming through. More than 10 Britons are feared dead or missing in Israel as well. And then Jewish community safety priority says cleverly, history shows they are inappropriately targeted over actions in the Middle East, the foreign secretary has said. Well, yesterday there was some incidents around those areas, so we'll see. Okay, and then Labour needs to decide. Labour Sekier Starmer to make housing pledge in leader's speech. Now, Sekier Starmer will pledge to build a new Britain with extra powers for housing and local mayors if Labour wins the next election. Speaking at the party's annual conference on Tuesday, the Labour leader will promise to accelerate building on unused urban land. He will also say Labour will build the next generation of new towns near English cities, and he will say extra police will guarantee patrols in town centers. Suggesting Labour is aiming for 2 terms in power, he will say a Labour victory will herald a decade of national renewal after 13 years of conservative-led government. What is broken can be repaired. What is ruined can be rebuilt, he will tell delegates there. Well, it's all coming away from Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The final story. IMF is saying this: the UK faces another 5 years of high interest rates. To stem rising prices, an influential global group has warned. The International Monetary Fund expects the UK to have the highest inflation and slowest growth next year of any of the G7 economy, including the US, France, Germany, Canada, Italy, and Japan. However, the Treasury said recent revisions to UK's growth had not been factored in to IMF's report. Now, the outlook was drawn up before this weekend development in Israel. Now, forecasts are never perfect given the many factors that affect economic growth, from geopolitics to the weather, but such reports can point in the right direction, especially where they align with other forecasts. The IMF, an international organization with 190 member countries, has said the forecast it makes for growth the following year in most advanced economies have more than not been without about 1.5% point of what actually happens. In July last year, it forecasts that the UK economy will grow by 3.2% in 2022. It revised that upwards to 4.1% at the start of the year. But official UK figures released last month estimated that the country's economy actually expanded by 4.3%. So they can predict all the predictions, but they are saying that we are looking at the reality. Are we? All right then, listeners, this is why I bring the program to a close. But like I said, I'm going to be having BB Clement on BB Means Business this afternoon. Today, we'll be doing something pertaining to mental health, as we're celebrating mental health today. So enjoy this song from Kwame Brenya, Bobo and Nyansa. Their band is known as the Palm One Band. It's quite an interesting name, right? Okay, but I just chanced on it this morning, and I want you to enjoy it. And when that song ends, you don't hear from me. It's been me, Archie, saying have a blessed day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. But remember, at 1:30, we'll be having BB Clement. Bye-bye for now.
Oh. Me free Dakar, me jamu Burkina, akwa kotina me Ghana. Babedru Bobo di la so, me usi Kenya nasa. Atumini Bobo, me pekwa.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Me pekwa yanko, me kuru na so me yaka. Bobo.
Kwame Brenya Obra Aquantio de Mikopue Senegal Abosume Ngoche Ewo Krupon Daka Yefurumu Afei na setina no afono me Debia chep emui na dome Wall of Casanova me touchment to me French no so maintain papa bi ampe nkete kuntunu nese se mi shine na me ba mi nchi na de eto me wo kwan so e na maye no nsegwa ase no mi
Mississippi free Dakar, me jam Burkina, Ababetina me Ghana. Shema bedru Bobo Pilaso, you see Kenya nasa. Atumini Bobo.